this should air the first week of Pride
Month,
which is like everybody'sgay.com at tumblr.com.
But like on acid and steroids.
I think this is going to be the best Pride, the best Pride Month ever. If the hosts were this excited about the Met Gala.
Right. All these straight people can be like, I never knew this about queer history and I have been living a lie. I feel like
it's going to be like
so many people are going to come out.
Parades of straight people wearing rainbow baseball caps.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
that
just
they got at Target.
For it. They all got them at Target. I'm happy for it and I like it. And can you get flip-flops too? And will you please tell your children that it's okay for them to wear those flip-flops too? This episode of Dear Jessamyn has profanity, sex talk, weed smoking, and a bunch of other shit that is just not for everybody. You also may not agree with the stuff we say or how we say it, and we think that that's great. Today, we're recording from stolen lands of the Kiauwee Confederacy. We promote cannabis medicine to people over 21, and if you're not 21, come back when you are.
What I want to do to myself is selfish in the best way.
Hey, Jessamyn.
Hey, Ashe. How are you doing?
You pointed out that I was having some big energy that I really don't want to have right now, and so I'm trying to breathe, but I'm good. I've had a really good day, full of lesson already.
Totally.
I love that. And challenge.
Literally.
How are you doing?
Same. Yeah. I woke up in a really funky headspace, which I think was really just feeling all of my feelings. You asked me a couple times yesterday, like, how was I feeling? I was like, I'm feeling all of my feelings.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just let them all be there. I appreciate not trying to like mask them or even letting them just run amok or be like, it's helpful for me to remember that feelings aren't facts. I have a tendency to feel like feelings are facts and that how I'm feeling in this exact moment is how I will always feel for the rest of my life. Even though my moods move like the moon, they move like the ocean, like tides of the ocean. It is literally just like one in, one out. So if I can just stick around for the miracle, I'm usually good.
Oh, what is it called? I was just listening to a past episode of Dear Jessamyn for edits for Kylee, who is so great. I just can't ever say how great Kylee is.
Kylie's great.
And I was listening to myself sort of talk about how angry I feel around the powerlessness of white supremacy, the powerlessness I have in the face of white supremacy. Or it's not pure, well, now I'm thinking about it. It's not pure powerlessness. It's like overwhelm, at the amount of all that. It's another episode, so listen to that one if you want to know more. But I was just thinking about how I have this whole narrative that like I'm not, like, white guilt isn't motivating me in my quest for justice in this hero's journey of my lifetime. But it's like I was listening to myself explain that I get so angry at the idea that I can't blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, wow, I just like rebranded white guilt into like. So it is definitely what I'm calling it is definitely some version of acceptance for my white guilt. I think of that concept as exclusively a hindrance, but nuance and like real life and being a grown-up kind of reminds us that everything is extremely complicated. And if you want things to be pure or right or one way or, it's a limiting practice that doesn't take into account how robust we all are. So I think I'm calling it acceptance in a specific moment, but just also in general all the time. S'il vous plaît. Universe.
C'est très bon. I love that so much, so dearly, so deeply. This week I'm calling in just patience. I'm calling him patience every week. Oh my goodness. Patience with myself. I have not been patient with myself the last 24 hours in particular. And but it's all like on the road to patience. So it's like what you were saying, I was like, wow, like the fractal is still fractal. Like it's just doing like where the truth is still the truth. It just looks different. And I feel like I'm just always in some phase of acceptance. And for me, it's like, try not to rush past this part. Like, just be in it. Like, you don't need to get past it. There's the next part. I think about this all the time, how like the next thing is going to be shitty too. Like, whatever it is. There's shit on the greener side of the grass as well. Like, it's okay. No need to rush. So I'm calling impatience.
Hell yeah.
Can we say the answer to last week's trivia question?
Totally. Do you want to?
Well,
repeat the question.
Okay, the question was, who played the character Janie Gibbs in the 90s classic Harriet the Spy?
By Nickelodeon.
Starring my girlfriend, Michelle Trachtenberg.
And?
My other girlfriend, Rosie O'Donnell. And my other girlfriend.
Answer to the trivia question.
Vanessa Lee Chester.
Okay, if you got Vanessa Lee Chester,
high fives
in your head without Googling. Even though if you did Google, you also got it. You just got it a different way.
There's 2 prizes. I think there should be a prize for no Googling and then a prize for Googling.
Just like it's a okay. What prize are we offering that we don't have? That like spiritual prize. Like what prize, gift are we giving?
No, I've been thinking about it for the last couple seconds, so I just want to say what I'm thinking. I'm thinking for the winners, no Googling. If we're at a bar and they have cupcakes, imaginary bar where there's like sober drinks and alcohol drinks. If they have cupcakes, like somebody who's there at the bar having their birthday, I would go over to that table and ask them if I could have a cupcake for you. That's the prize.
Fuck yeah. Okay, my prize for a no Google is right now, wherever you are, whoever you are, actually, this is winner. Everybody's a winner. Okay. Just notice if your tongue is touching the roof of your mouth and drop it off the roof of your mouth. Don't necessarily have to open your mouth or open your lips, but you can just drop your tongue gently off the roof of your mouth. That's the prize for everybody. And then release your shoulders down from your ears. Winners.
That's an incredible prize. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. And for the I think everybody,
I didn't Google or not Google. I waited for you and Kylee to find the answer. And then I was like, you remember Vanessa Lee Chester?
That's true. I was like, is it Vanessa Chester? You're like, I beg your pardon.
This is the era of 3 names, dude.
May Peresse K. Vanessa Lee Chester.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Who else?
All of them bitches. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Oh yeah, you said that. But, well, okay, Mary Louise Parker.
Oh yeah.
Mary Stuart
Masterson.
In general.
There's more. If you can think of more 3.
But then there's also really important one syllable names like, oh no, Ricky Lake, I guess is 2 syllables. I just want to say Ricky Lake.
You did. What the fuck is Ricky Lake coming up right now? We said 90s. Now you're out here excited.
Icon.
She is. Okay, but the question, Ricky Lake is a fat icon. Is she still fat?
She's like Kathy Najimy fat, post-fat icon.
No, there's like a later in life thing that happens for
middle class people.
For middle class. I'm thinking middle class cis-het women who go to the doctor and decide that like because of whatever the thing is,
they're going to pay for a trainer and and a nutritionist.
Do differently.
And really change
it's like a whole
around.
thing.
Yeah. We say her name. Yeah. On this eve of, remember when reproductive justice seemed like it mattered more in this country, and Ricky Lake made that film about the business of being born. For some reason they're connected. I think just in general having more knowledge of our rights and agency as people who give birth to children.
That was a nice slide in.
Fuck the Supreme Court. Abolish Supreme Court. Okay,
I said, okay, we should all be. The other day we were at Chick-Fil-A and I was like, we should all be as firm in our beliefs as Chick-Fil-A has been about homophobia, because they never stopped being homophobic, and bitches went back to Chick-Fil-A. We're queer. I would call myself queer as fuck.
Bitches eat
I was
chicken.
with my queer as fuck girlfriend and we were in there eating their homophobic chicken. So on that same tip, I think that we should all be as staunch in our values as the right-wing conservative militia who has been out here for decades trying to overturn Roe v. Wade. They slid in under the rugs. They were in the crevices. They were everywhere.
Termites
dude. They literally, and I mean, they have
cockroaches.
It was like so many judges had to be appointed. So many different things had to happen. And when I heard that shit, I was like, bitch, they really did that. Y'all really did that. I mean, I hope to God with the power vested in the internet that hoes will not let this stand. Literally hoes. It is the duty of hoes, I personally believe, to make sure that this shit does not happen.
Totally.
But
yeah, it's a pipe dream to be like, white people, men, you're making problems. You gotta fix. They're not gonna. Why?
No,
that's the whole point of making the problem in the first place. I feel slightly emotionally detached. I feel like there's a political party line that I know to say and believe cognitively, but I also am kind of like, okay, so remember when we were all herbalists and we all had to like figure out that pennyroyal is an herb that will terminate an unwanted pregnancy early, and that we have the resources actually without pharmaceuticals and without men. I mean, I'm just like, cool. So when the food system collapses, like, are you gonna freak out and go to Washington in March, or are you gonna dig a fucking garden bed at the end of the fucking day? You know, and that's also probably a controversial opinion because I'm for like survival. You know what I mean? I'm not
Very
a Democrat. You know what I mean? I'm not a Republican. I'm not a capitalist. I don't even know what fucking economic system I understand or believe in, but I do know that like I believe in seed saving. You know, I believe in traditions that have been around since long before this bullshit, and how evolution happens, and I just can't be dependent on people who are trying to murder me at all times.
That's okay. So that's where I am. Like I was like, wow, deeply controversial opinions on both hands here. Yeah. But I was also shocked that you brought this up at all. Honestly, it's felt like the white woman topic of the day. It's like the thing, and I mean, like I feel y'all, like I get what's going. I feel you, and obviously I'm in favor of Roe v. Wade, but I'm just like, yeah, that's what they do. You know, like that's what they do. They will do it to you too. They don't care about you, like period. And I don't know how many ways the establishment has to tell you, like there's no concern. And so I don't feel compelled to like really be up in arms about it. But then at the exact same time, I'm not trying to get an abortion today. And also I'm not thinking about like my reproductive rights actively. And I'm fully steeped in privilege, literally just over here like, oh yeah, is that something you guys are like concerned about today? Because I don't really give a fuck, you know? But so when you think about that, think about how many people are actively disenfranchised every day who also see people be like, I don't give a fuck until my rights are compromised. So I don't know. I mean, I just think it's an interesting thing for us to experience all together. And it's fascinating to me the ways that we like control each other's opinions about stuff and like make it like topical and be like, oh, what is your opinion about this? Or like, how do you feel about this? But it's like, everybody has different opinions based on where they're standing. Yeah. There's no norm. Boy, maybe we should accept that.
Totally.
Anyway.
I just think we're living in a time, and there's a piece of me that just wants to like locate where we are in the timeline, because this is a day after that, day after 2 days, 2 days after that leak, 2 days after the Met Gala of 2022.
What's like everybody knows about the Met Gala now this year. Also, I'm like, the Met Gala has been happening, and now the hoes are like
quarantined.
Totally,
to a large. I think that we learn more about pop culture all the fucking time if we open Mirror Mirror on our phone. You know what I mean? Like,
I literally did not understand why this year in particular everyone has been like on the Met Gala, because I'm like, but like, Met Gala has been happening. On the same tip, white people learn about Juneteenth during quarantine.
Absolutely. I mean, I just feel like it's a very interesting transmission of like cultural influence right now, because it's not just like billboards that we're all seeing, you know?
What we were gonna say was, what did Janie Gibbs mean to you? What did she do for you? How?
Do you have anything to say? Or should
well, Vanessa Lee Chester was like very important. I didn't realize it actually until we were like really talking about this, but I was like, she was like that bitch. She was everywhere. Like, and you reminded me of A Little Princess. I had forgotten about that movie, but I fucked with A Little Princess. And she was what was her character's name?
In A Little
It's
Princess.
Sarah Crew,
Sophie?
and then
no. I'm gonna look it up. Literally, we never do this, but I'm about to.
Okay, well, her character in A Little Princess, I really enjoyed, and
Becky. She was Becky.
Oh, hell yeah, absolutely, Becky. Okay, yeah, totally. But then I did remember she was on that episode of Veronica Mars later, and she's been around. She's all that. I really enjoy her, like her a lot, appreciate the representation. She's dope.
Totally.
And you had said something about Janie's mom being like such a like
regular
real black woman,
Yeah.
literally. And I was like, I didn't even notice that because she was so real. I
Who
was
played
just like,
that
that's
character?
dope.
I'm trying to find out.
I don't know, but she looked like my mom and my aunt, and I was like a kid watching that, and I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I didn't think. Now it's people are like, oh my god, look, there's a black person in something, and so it's like, I think that now we're like talking about stuff in a different way. But back in the day, I was just like, oh, this movie is dope. Janie is black. That's cool. Her mom looks like my mom, my aunt. She really looks like my aunt. But yeah, she's great. She's very important. And Nickelodeon did a great job with that movie in general.
Totally. Yeah, I think that I remember I had like a deeper, what the fuck that means. But other kids weren't talking about race the way I was like at that time. In 1996, I was 7 years old. And I remember noticing Janie's mom because she reminded me way more of like regular moms in the world than like TV moms. Because TV black moms were like, they had like a relaxed hairstyle and they were thin, basically. And maybe light skin, but I don't think I had a sense of that at that time. But I was like, oh, wow. And the way she talked to Janie, like they were showing Janie as like this like brilliant science genius person. And I don't know in the book if she was black or not. Like, I don't know anything about the book, but it's interesting. Like Nickelodeon cast her, Vanessa Lee Chester as Janie. And oh man, I just remember being like, wow, I don't see on television people making black kids geniuses like Janie. And I noticed it. I was like, oh, right. And I noticed, I think the way I said it to you this morning was like, it occurred to me that some white person had lied to me more likely than that Nickelodeon just made up this random idea that a black kid had a science kid in their bedroom and like practice this stuff. But it was a moment of realizing that I didn't have a complete sense of what black life was in the US. I was like, wow, that's more complex than people have led me to believe black folks are. And if this is too real for folks, I totally understand. But
I appreciate you keeping it real like this because first of all, there's a bunch of white people like cocking their eyebrow at you right now. And I'm like, bitch, you know you feel the exact same way about this. I don't know who you're talking about.
I mean, I've had many years of practice at trying to understand and reconcile and be able to speak clearly into these memories, you know? Yeah. I don't think a lot of white people have had that opportunity to be really ushered through an emotional practice of recognizing white supremacy in the self. And so I think it's scary. Well, what the fuck am I going to do? Shame them and then they...
No, I'm not.
You know
I'm
what
just,
yeah,
totally.
Anyway, so I definitely remember that being like a point of connection for me at a really young age of like, there's some force at work that's saying one thing when the truth is everybody's really complex. Everybody's really smart. Everybody has like, you know, funny interactions with their moms when they take their mom's bra to like stabilize the balloons filled with mold in the science experiment in the house and then it explodes and it's gross. I mean, like everybody does that. That's not like a white people thing.
There was something else I wanted to say about that. I feel like I'm realizing now that Janie was also like the one black kid in her friend group, which was again representation. And again, I did not notice these things as being like, and I was just like, that's a good movie. I was like, oh, I love Harriet the Spy. I will watch it every day. Like, that's great. But now I'm like, oh, it's because it was like my life or something like it.
Well, in sport was
The New York version.
Their other friend was poor, and they talked about it.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And they talked about the dynamics of like having money and your friend not having money, but you're a kid, so you don't really have money, but you know your parents have money and their parents don't have money, and you see them in the grocery store not able to pay for bread, and you're like,
that shit was so real, dude.
but it's conflicted inside of you because you're like trying to understand, why the fuck do I have money to pay for bread and sport doesn't have money to pay for bread? You know, what's that about? Is his dad not a good dad? Like all of these issues get explored. Meanwhile, my ass.
Also, see,
like,
I never even thought
we
about.
can't pay for bread either.
Yeah, I never thought about Harriet's side of it really, and like, I did get that it must be like uncomfortable for her, but mainly I was embarrassed to identify with sport as much as I did. That's what it was, because I was like, that. It's only been as an adult watching that movie that I'm like, wow, this is triggering. Like this is a lot.
Yeah. But
also like, it just, that is a character that like I definitely identify with in a huge way. And like it just, I thought they did right by that. The way that they talked about his life, I really appreciated.
I think they did the shame and joy cycles of like impoverished childhood like pretty well. For
also loving
your
your parents and like love, like being like we're doing this together.
Yeah.
Like this is us together, you know?
Yeah. And like having to like sort of give up parts of your childhood in order to be a support system in your family. It's not bad. It's not wrong. Literally. It's not right. It's not better or worse. It literally is just what happens sometimes.
It's just what's happening. Yeah. It's just like, this is what's happening. He was like, Swore was like, I gotta do, he said, I don't remember how he said it, but it's like, I gotta do chores, you know?
Yeah.
And then it was like, I gotta do the books. And
These
it was just
are
like,
the books.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, like he had to figure shit out, you know? Anyway, so we'll do next week's trivia question
at the end of the show.
At the end of this episode. Okay, cool. A few of our favorite things.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
I started like saving different Instagram memes and videos for this segment. And
cute.
Sometimes they're just really simple and stand out, and they echo in my head throughout the day or the couple days after I see them. And I love, on the note of transmitting culture in new and different ways, like I love getting to read people's ideas that I otherwise just literally wouldn't. And so I saw this sweet illustration of it's like sort of like a balloon, and the balloon like ribbon is like written.
What do you want to call it?
I was just burping.
Oh, damn.
There's like a balloon, and the balloon ribbon that's like sort of coming down.
I thought maybe you wanted to call it its tail. Because
I was going to say its tail.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a balloon on a pink background that's just like line drawing balloon with a little bit of stippling shadow. And then the tail of the balloon, the ribbon, is these words that say, sometimes you need to let things go. And it looks like the balloon is just sort of floating in space, and ignoring the ecological problematic nature of letting balloons go into space, microplastics in the ocean. I felt like this was a very sweet image, and just stuck with me, that like there are ways you can just literally open your hand. You don't have to like get over something or like everything's okay about that thing now at all. You literally just have to open your hand up and just release. You can even physically open your hand. And I've been practicing this this morning we were having a little bit of getting the show ready.
It must be Wednesday.
It must be Dear Jessamyn time. Because we had a great day, very sharing, honest, vulnerable. And then I'm setting things up and it's like short. Anyway, I was under the table opening my hands and then clenching them really, really, really hard just to see what that feels like. And then opening them all the way, just lightly and slowly. And I let go of whatever. I don't even have any sense of what was causing me grief earlier, but so that's my favorite thing for right now. I'm
looking at it on my phone and you described it perfectly, first of all. And also it is so moving and gorgeous and I appreciate you sharing it. And thank you. My favorite thing is, it's actually a series of favorite things, but it centers around a specific favorite thing. And it is the products made by the brand First Aid Beauty. I'm so grateful for this brand. And I told you, maybe you remember, I don't know, but we did a campaign with First Aid Beauty like last year or the year before, and I had never tried their products before. I did like the face cream, but like I didn't care like that much about it, if I'm being honest. I was just like, yeah, this is a dope product. I fuck with skincare. That's great. But recently my skin has started to flare up with eczema, specifically paraoral eczema. And this has been an internet diagnosis. I have yet to go to a dermatologist. But it is based on...
Perioral just means around the mouth.
Well, that's what Google said. So that's what I'm saying. Actually, I think technically it's called paraoral dermatitis, just to be very clear. So there are a lot of different things that can make it happen, all of which I have done recently. Seasonal changes, what you eat. So dairy. I don't usually eat like that much dairy, but in the last like month or two, I've had a lot of dairy. There's another big one.
Face product?
Oh, face product, oils. So what had happened was I thought I was getting a cold sore. And usually when that happens, I just like douse my face with tea tree oil. Very effective, or it has been in the past. Anyway, turns out I don't know if I wasn't getting a cold sore. That's irrelevant. The point is that my face started tripping like in a really intense way. And at first I was like, what the fuck? And something like this happened when we were in Vermont. My lips started to expand. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? And then we left Vermont and it didn't happen anymore. So I was like, we're good. But I always think now that Vermont is not a place that I can live because it is like very dry there and very cold. So we got back down south. That was no big deal. But I have traveled quite a bit recently and like went to South Africa, went to LA, and then now across the country. But even before, like when I got back from LA and South Africa, that's when it was really like starting to be like, what the fuck's going on? And then when we went on this trip, it's just been consistently bad. Like I would say I've never had anything like this happen to my face before or just change like this, other than when I was like 12 and my skin was just breaking out and I was trying to figure out that whole situation. But it took me until I was like 34 to finally get that situation. I thought I had that situation figured out. Save from menstrual cycles and like sleeping on a dirty pillowcase, I'm like, I think I got this together. But then all of a sudden, it's just like patches McGee everywhere on my face. It's so intense. I'm like, what is happening? How did this happen? And it has like thrown my whole worldview into a tailspin. I don't know how else to tell you. And like, it could maybe be, I'm sure later in life I will look back. I'm glad I have the evidence here now of what I was like at this age. I mean, just, okay, I speak harshly to myself. I'm a very intense person. I have this version of myself to remember. Because this is like a real thing. I'm sure I'll feel differently later, but at this point I'm like, no, I was like just getting my face figured out, my skin figured out.
I think that's so legit, homie. I really just I wish you would. I don't know. You can be however you are. I'm just hearing it and being like, that sounds normal.
Exactly.
Like a normal moment to have.
Well, part of the issue was that I was actually exacerbating the problem with my skincare regimen that I've been doing like obsessively and like a very specific routine. Almost every product in that routine is just making it worse. And so I'm just like, what's going on? Because what it feels like, if you never had paraoral dermatitis, eczema, it feels like your skin is very tight and very itchy and it's flaking and it's like, I told you that my cousin had it when I was a kid. When we were kids, he had it like on his belly. And it was always an issue and like just shit was happening with it. But I was also telling you that I'm sure I was more concerned with how it was inconveniencing me or like something like that.
You're
you know,
kid.
I was a kid.
No,
but I'm just saying like what I'm saying is that I don't remember what the cures were or anything. And but talking about it online has been really helpful because so many people have this, like it's extremely common and like have all of these incredible suggestions. And so I really want to say thank you to anyone who has ever said anything to me about this because it is your help has been helpful. The thing that I was really excited about, but this is the thing. I knew I wanted to go to Ulta to look at some products. I'd had a First Aid Beauty recommendation. I know the story is forever long, but I had a recommendation. So I was like, I know that brand will be there or should be there. But I wasn't like, I've just been like kind of down on myself lately and like not really, not focusing on, like not wanting to like do nice things for myself, just in a few different ways. And I wasn't even wanting to go to Ulta. And you and I went to breakfast at a place on the other side of town. And in between there and here, it's Ulta. And I was like, would you want to go to Ulta? And you were like, no. And I was like, okay. And then you were like, no, I'm sorry. I thought you meant like, did I need to get anything at Ulta? No, I don't need to get anything at Ulta, but we could go to Ulta. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. And then you were like, no, you should go to Ulta. Like, you should go and like get something that would, it was just the way that you encouraged me to do it. I really appreciate it because I needed that encouragement. And we went, because I was like, I don't know what products to get. Like, I've read some things, but like, I don't know what to get. And I don't want to just get some random shit that's not going to work. And you were like, you could just ask somebody at Ulta what would work. And I was like, I was thinking, man, they're not going to know. But I think also part of it was like, I didn't want to be vulnerable with anyone. And so I was just trying to like make an excuse for why it would not work out if I was vulnerable. But you were like, just do it. And I was like, okay. And so we went into Ulta, just like ask the person at the counter. I'm saying it, I'm like, I think people do this all the time and they're not.
I think a lot of people don't do this in the same way that you were about to not also.
Yeah. But I just was like, do you know any, like, do you have any recommendations for perioral eczema dermatitis? And she was like, yeah, you should get this. Like, and she just walked me over to the First Aid Beauty section and was like, this thing and this thing and this thing. And I was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate I appreciated that interaction so much. Like, it meant so much to me. It really was just, it meant so much to me. And there's part of me that wants to cry, so I can just cry like to myself.
You can cry any which way.
But then, so that was one part. I told you there were levels to my favorite thing this week.
Hell yeah.
But the main thing is the products made by First Aid Beauty that are just so good and have literally, like, in the morning is when it's the worst, the eczema. And it's better, you know, like it's still tight and still flaky, but not the way that it was before. And I can only imagine that it has a lot to do with these products. And I think specifically the serum is really good. And the, I mean, I guess we can get links for all this stuff, but I've been using the face cleanser, the serum. The toner is also so good and so important. It's the thickest toner I've ever used, and it's so good. And then the face cream that I did the ad for before, that I'd liked before, is still fire now. So and also Robin's Nest Seattle lip balm. I need to get a lip balm that is really meant for this. I think that this is just like a touch too thick for me, but it's getting the job done, and I'm grateful for it. And
you stay on that Robin's Nest. I wanted to make a TikTok. I might actually still. Yeah. That's just like everywhere you can find Robin's Nest lip balm, and it's like her website, her Instagram, this drawer, that bedside table, this part of my car, that part of my outdoor space, right under the Berkey, underneath the cabinet, where this light fixture is. 3 in Jessamyn's pocket, 2 in my pocket somehow also. Yeah, literally. I might still
this
do that.
Shower, that shower.
That's right.
That shower caddy. That shower.
Where the cats hang out. Where the dog hangs out.
Underneath the dog. Underneath the cat. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's favorite thing.
I love your favorite thing. I'll just say we came home from Ulta and you washed your face, and just literally immediately after, it looked like it was like less swollen. It certainly looked less inflamed. You seemed really happy. It stayed not inflamed and swollen for the rest of the day, I was like, what the fuck? You were in so much pain before, and it's, oh man, it was devastating
like,
to look at your partner and think, totally. So I was like, where has this been? Why wasn't this the very first thing that happened? Now I'm kind of like, cool, if anything else ever happens, let's just jet on over to somewhere that people know how to make it feel better.
Literally.
I hate watching you experience like physical pain for longer than necessary. I'm sure you hate watching me be depressed and shit.
I was trying to learn lessons through the pain.
Yeah. Well, this was one.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can put some of that footage in for Kylee or into the
yes.
To just
God, yes.
Yeah.
The footage from going to
Ulta.
You also really opened my eyes when we were there. You were like, the way you were shooting me, I was like, this is annoying, because I was like, I have my eczema, and like I'm just trying to get into, and like I do want to get the products, but like I'm like, don't shoot me right now. But then you're like, no, I'm literally trying to understand why we're here, because like you're like, I don't like, why would you want to like go to Ulta, or like what is the thing, and like,
and not Walgreens or the dermatologist. Totally.
Oh God,
and you
Ulta is the best store.
Explain. I mean, everything that happened there, I was like, oh, okay. There's like a political part of me that's like, privatized medicine. I'm mad about it, but it's also like amazing to be able to like go down to Ulta and like pick up this like real helpful, real important kind of like medicine for the.
I love that that was your introduction. Was this your first time at Ulta, or like first time like really
drag a butch to
my
Sephora
God.
and Ulta and stuff? One time I wanted to go on a date with you, and I went to one of them and got my face all done.
Yeah.
And bought like a new outfit and heels and earrings, and I got to your door and knocked, and you opened the door and you were like, oh.
I was very surprised.
And I was in the most emotional pain I had been in a long time.
I hate myself for that
and
reaction.
I just like hung out while you looked at me and said, this is weird, over and over and over again. I was like, yeah, okay, there's a little bit of worst. There used to be a little bit of femme in me.
There's so much femme in you.
There's so much. I know. And I was like, you can't see me? Okay. My bad. I did surprise you.
I felt like that had more to do with you than
like,
me, but
I'm
you
not
wanted
femme
a
for
specific.
femme.
God, I hate myself.
No, I wanted to show you a part of me. We haven't really talked about it that much since.
I know.
This was years ago. This was when we first started
that many
dating.
years ago.
This was when we first started dating.
Yeah, but
we went to
I don't appreciate the way that I was that
Human
day.
Rights Campaign gala.
Yes, we did.
We had fun. We were very femme for femme. I don't think there's many pictures because I felt like you didn't want to see me. Didn't like what I was working with. Sorry to bring this up. It really just came. I was this is the last time I was at Ulta Beauty. Actually, it was for that.
That was at Ulta?
Or Sephora. Are they the same?
No.
They're not the same. Apologies. So many apologies.
That's why I was, okay, I want to come back to this whole Ulta Sephora conversation.
Ooh, this just illustrates how often I've been to these places or know much about them.
It's not hard to get them confused. I just wanted to speak specifically to like parts of it. But I was so surprised that night. I was like,
hi femme.
I had no idea you were femme. I had no idea.
I wouldn't reduce any of my gender to like one thing.
No, not at all. And baby, this is what I think is so fucked up about the gender bias. And I know that everyone binary, but okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Did that
no,
feel
I'm just
corrective?
feeling stupid. I'm feeling like I'm tripping over my words. I feel like it's not socially acceptable to talk about saying things wrong and thinking about things in a way that is gendered and that is problematic. Like, because everybody wants to be so fucking progressive, but like the reality is that I was raised in a community where it's like there is a gender binary and my mind formed around that. And so I have to deconstruct everything. And I'm not trying to be offensive. I just don't always know. But in that instance, at that point in my life, I had a very clear idea of who I was as a person and what I was doing, what I'm doing in general. And I reacted in a way that, while honest, I feel was so disrespectful of you and very hurtful and like something that I would not like to make a habit of behaving that way. I'm sure I have, but I still just feel like it was not cool at all, and I don't condone it or like it at all. And I've been thinking that for years, and I don't know if I've expressed it quite like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. I mean, I feel you. We all change. I mean, I grew a lot in that moment. Just like you had said over and over again that you thought it was more about me for me.
That was the thing.
Which is like just a cop-out thing to say when you've done something hurtful to somebody. You're like, actually, this has nothing to do with me. And I'm like, well, your reaction has something to do with you. But you're right. This is me on me. I'm looking for something in myself. Absolutely. But aren't we all at all times? Low-key.
Totally.
I just remember being like, okay, this is the moment where you decide if your gut is being true. Like if this is really who you are, if you're in a costume or not. And I wasn't. But I learned that night about myself, that I wasn't in a costume. Because what I was coming
when I think back on how you looked really sexy.
Really good. I looked really fucking good. Very coordinated. I mean, the whole thing, very slutty, but like...
Very slutty.
You could pretend like it was tasteful if you were like... If you had like, thought highly of me or something.
I mean, I like sluts.
No, I know. Me too. That's what happens there. But shaved everything, which is like more of a chore than you realize if you never do it. And what else did I do? Got the makeup done. I had my hair was cut. I have one picture where I was trying to I was trying not to cry, and I was like, can't you not cry in makeup? And you were getting ready, I think, and I was like in that big, at the time it was like full length mirror in the doorway of your house. And I took a picture of myself like smoking weed or something maybe. And I was like, this is for you, to myself. And so I have that one picture, but otherwise I just feel like it was like, and even at the gala, it was just funny. I was like, wow, this is not how I expected this to go.
But so what was frustrating for me, and I don't really, I just want to give some explanation to how I was feeling, but like, it felt like it was about, you wanted me to react in a specific way.
Probably.
And so I felt like I had to react in a specific way that was not authentic to me. And it was like annoying to me that was what was being asked of me in that moment.
Totally.
And I definitely don't think that means that the way that I reacted was appropriate. And I hate that you felt like you could not capture yourself.
No, I mean, I made all those choices. Like, I know that I'm 100% responsible for myself. I just think that what was gleaned in that experience was just like some more texture of like what we are working with together, Yeah. And like, I think there's a lot of truth in the idea that was me dressing up for me, and it didn't really have to do with anybody else. But there was also a truth to like, how does this person receive me? Yeah. And so all of it is important information. I haven't really thought about it since, literally just my last time at one of those shops. Yeah. What's coming up for you?
I'm just thinking about it, thinking about all this.
It's also this weird like victim stance that I must have some idea of femininity in my head. Like, because, it's like I was like, okay, I'm going to dress this way. This part of me is going to come out for this event. And then when it didn't go my way, I was like a victim of yours or something. And I'm like, God, that must be some weird conflation I have with being feminine, dressing femininely. And I know it. I mean, I'm not speaking from no knowledge. I do know that a huge part of the way I present so masculine is self-protective. So I must have this sense of that part of me being vulnerable. But, I think now having some language around like victim, villain, hero sort of complex, I don't really want to read that script anymore. So even just listening to myself say that I took that picture for myself, it's like, oh yeah, you're good. It's fine, And I think I did look good. I do remember being like, damn, yeah, I looked really good. And that's enough. Isn't that why we dress up? Yes. So the whole point, check plus, all good. It feels like maybe there's toxic residue for you though.
Oh my God. I acted like an asshole.
Oh, you can be.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's, if there's toxic residue, it's my own toxic residue. It's fucking Spider-Man, that black shit. You know what I mean?
But
I didn't see the Spider-Man that involved that, but I just assumed it can
there's
be
like
good.
this
I don't
goo
know. I
or
could be wrong.
something that infects them.
At a minimum, it's like in Mario Kart when the black splotches get on your oil spills on your visor. That's what it is for me for sure. So until I run out of that fucking whirly cake. Can I say one more thing about Sephora and Ulta? Which, whatever.
Please.
I just feel like it's really normal to get those stores confused, but they are like slightly different. And I love that you have an association now of Ulta with medical, with like prescription grade skincare, because that is, I almost forget that Ulta even has that section and had to remember to go, because I think of Ulta as more like Sephora with hair stuff, like a lot of hair stuff. And like drugstore brands. Sephora is like boutique style brands, and Ulta has like some drugstore brands, and they do more like nail stuff. There's just more like overall body at Ulta, and they have obviously lots of skincare things. That's it. I just wanted to say that.
Well, I
wanted to read that card.
I'll say I had to answer the question of like, why am I filming you at one point? And I did specifically say, because I didn't understand that this was an option, that this was a place to go find like relief for a struggle that you're having in a skincare area. And I've dated a lot of people who have skincare things. You know, this world is so hostile to so many of us for so many different kinds of reasons. And it was just a really cool thing to learn. And I felt like if there's anybody like me who just doesn't know, it would be cool if this would be like, no, you can, this maybe is an option for you. Did you know? So that's why I just like to spread the good word.
You're a sweet girl.
Oh, you're nice. Okay. The Astro Thought of the Week?
Yes.
Okay.
My Astro Thought of the Week is that Venus is in Aries, which I appreciate. I appreciate when like all signs are in Aries. Any sign is in Aries.
Why?
Because it's like quick, like go, like do the thing,
Decisive.
just like move on, like go the way, like make a choice. Like I appreciate that. Like don't be languid. Like just be, just do it. And because life's short, have fun. And
life's even shorter when you're ramming your head and everything. So please have fun.
Really
My God.
Point. That is a really good point.
Or could be. Well,
there's a bunch of other astrology that's happening next week that I feel like is Mercury's pre-retrograde shadow is, and it's so helpful now to like know that the astrology is like kind of the same every year, like year over year. So like Mercury retrograde happens this time of year generally, I think. And like, it's nice to be like, oh, okay. Because I feel like I have positive associations with this time of the year in general. Like I've always enjoyed like April, season. May. Yeah. So I'm like, it's like that, like Aries to Taurus to Gemini season is nice. Just, and it's springtime. I like it. So I'm here for it. But the Mercury's pre-retrograde shadow has been a lot. And so I can only imagine how it will be when it actually stations retrograde. Next week.
I don't know what this means, but Venus moving into Aries makes me think about how my Venus is in Aries. And if you think it's a lot to date an Aries sun, dating an Aries sun whose Venus is also in the sign of Aries, I feel like is probably some intense loving.
You have so many signs in Aries.
Do I? I don't think I have that many. I wouldn't mind. I dig the idea.
I'm gonna look it up.
The concept of
having planets in Aries.
Yeah, of how an Aries exists.
Ashe.
Do you want to give these listeners a trivia question for next week?
Yeah. This week's trivia question is, what organization did Polly Murray help found? And I'll give you a hint. No hints.
No. Well, you can
hints.
say there's at least 2 or more options for answers.
Well, no, what I wanted to say was like, we're doing like queer history. This should air the first week of Pride Month.
Pride Month.
Which is like everybodysgay.com at tumblr.com.
But like on acid and steroids.
I think this is going to be
time.
the best Pride, the best Pride month ever.
Every
if the
human
hoes were
being is
this
gay,
excited
so.
about the Met Gala,
Right. All these straight people can be like, I never knew this about queer history, and I have been living a lie.
I feel like it's gonna be like
So
straight
many people are going to come
whole
out.
parades of straight people wearing rainbow baseball caps, and I'm
That they
just
got at
here
Target.
for it. They all got them at Target.
Yeah.
I think a few got them at Old Navy as well.
Mm.
I'm happy for it, and I like it. And can you get flip flops too? And will you please tell your children that it's okay for them to wear those flip flops too? Please. And also, if you could just like be openly gay, because that's why you enjoy it. But whatever. You don't need to do things out in the open if you don't want to. Why am I trying to tell people what to do?
It's there's so many.
Disease.
Love and
I
fear.
hate supremacy. God
Love
damn
and
it.
fear are the only two options. So pick one.
Thank y'all so much for writing us reviews on iTunes. It helps with the show's ranking so much, and it would mean the world to us if you leave us a review, and we would love to read you a review right now. Ashe, take it away.
Thanks, Jessamyn. Love listening to Jessamyn and Ashe. I'm a queer with a dog in Richmond, and I really appreciated the shout out to my city in the most recent episode, Where's a Queer Supposed to Live? I like that we effectively just shouted out Richmond, Virginia, yet again.
I love that this person knows that Richmond is one of the best queer places in the world, I think, personally. Richmond is
exactly
amazing.
I think probably every place is one of the best queer places because everywhere queer people go,
And we're
just
everywhere.
gorgeous beauty and flowers and things.
Literally.
There's some trash fucking queer people, but in the sense that we're all healing and we're all walking each other home.
Damn, I wish it wasn't true, man. Say it ain't so. There's trash every kind of people. every kind of person, there is a trash version. And you know what? We all, you know who it is.
Tell me.
You.
It's
me.
oneself.
It's us.
Duh.
That's how we know about trash.
Can I just say, though,
I'm a trash human being.
I know that this line of, let's call it inquiry into the human spirit, has been inspired by, I've been reading Samantha Irby's book, We're Never Meeting in Person.
Yeah. In real life.
In real life, sorry. We're never meeting in real life. I'll be...
No, I just have
Memorizing
read it.
titles?
People are obsessed with this book, and so I feel like I've read it everywhere, and I love that you're reading it now.
Let me tell you why. I couldn't even begin to finish a succinct list of why, but there's one reason, which is that for me, there's this. Well, first of all, she quotes Ani DeFranco sort of in context, which other people wouldn't know probably, and I'm here for it. And number two is that there's this. She's describing her cat, and I can get into how I feel about when we describe our pets. It's really describing a really big part of ourselves or how we feel ourselves. She's describing this incredible sounding cat, and at the end of this personal ad where she's giving the cat away because it's whatever, you'll see, she says pros fat, cons trash. And it's just like, I want that on every hat and backpack and tote bag, and just that's how I feel.
You told me about this. I didn't get it. Now I get it.
Pros fat, cons trash. Just the way she said, because I'm listening to the audiobook, the way she says trash, I'm just like, God, it's me. Anyway, I have a new favorite author, and that's okay, because that fluctuates. Honestly, I'm going to be really honest. I'm an Aries, and so it's going to be true until maybe I pick up another Amy Tan book, and then it's them, and then it's.
But now you have to read everything that Samantha Irby has written.
I haven't purchased them all on audio.
You already
Audible
got them? Hell yeah.
For my solo drive back to California.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Do you want to?
What? Drive by myself?
Yeah.
Baby, I want you to live into the fullest form of your freedom. And I want to do the same. And I can do that anywhere, anyhow.
Okay. That's really helpful. We've been on the fence about whether or not we're grounded in North Carolina right now. Mm-hmm. We're here a full week longer than we were planning to be. Does that sound right? Because I feel like we were even leaving. Yeah. We were planning to leave earlier than this.
Yeah. No, last Thursday we were supposed to go, and it's Wednesday now. Almost a week delayed. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have been on the fence about whether or not, for a variety of reasons, one of which was, should we break up? Yeah. The age-old question, should we break up?
Age-old Dear Jessamyn theme of should Ashe and Jessamyn no longer date?
Yeah. But it's been like, should I fly back to California and you drive back?
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where like I bought a plane ticket to go back to California, and then
You bought a refundable plane ticket.
Yeah.
They stole my heart. You said it. We were like fighting. You're buying it. And you were like, it's refundable. Click. And you shut your phone. I was like, I'm so glad it's refundable.
I thought you didn't care, and I'm still
One
like,
has to pretend to be stoic in the face of like really big weather systems, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe I learned that in this relationship and I'm trying to uphold it because it seems to feel safer for you.
Yeah. Very interesting.
We always end on a big weird thing. Not always, sometimes.
Well, cliffhanger. Bye. See you. Dear Jessamyn is produced by Tenderfire Media. For more on our show, follow us on Spotify and Instagram at Dear Jessamyn, or head over to our website, dearjessamyn.com. If you're an Apple Podcast person, you can subscribe to our show, and while you're there, write us a review. They really help us out a lot, and they give you a place to let folks know how you feel about our show. Here's our team. Kylee C. Roberts is our editor/producer. Angel Foster and Nia Williams do our social media. Janie Leopard draws our art, and Fruit Snack plays our theme song. Montez Mickles is our director of production. Anna Rooney is my chief of staff. Amber Richardson is Ashe's chief of staff. Ashe Danger Phoenix is my co-host and co-producer. And I am Jessamyn Stanley. And we believe that no one should be in jail for weed.
Tenderfire.
Drop page!